Welcome back to On The Beat, everyone. In the studio with me today is Bill Gillis and Elizabeth Jones with Crowell Gillis and Cooper. And today we're talking all about wills and estate planning. Welcome to the show, my friends. Nice to see you both again.
Thanks for having us back.
Thank you.
I just wanted to touch base. We've touched on it before in regards to passing away without a will. That happened to my mother. She didn't do a will, passed away very suddenly. It was a mess. Where do we stand in the state of Mississippi when it comes to dying without a will?
Well, in Mississippi, there are laws called intestacy laws where your property would pass to your heirs at law. And one issue with not having a will is that if, say, for example, you're charitably inclined and you would like to leave your estate to a charity, well, the state of Mississippi is not going to seek out a charity on your behalf to leave your property to. They would seek out your closest kin. That may be someone you haven't seen in 30 years, which you otherwise wouldn't choose to. Also, if you have a relative who might be entitled to government assistance, if you leave them something without a will, you might unknowingly disqualify them from receiving any government benefits.
How often does that type of thing happen?
More often than you would think, Troy.
Yeah.
A lot of times, grandparents will inadvertently leave things to grandchildren.
Thinking they're doing the right thing.
That's correct. And there are ways to correct it, but it just requires going through additional hoops to keep the government assistance from being disqualified.
Well, what happens if you haven't planned for a power of attorney?
Well, if you have a power of attorney document, that allows you to name someone to basically step into your shoes and handle all of your business and financial affairs in the event you're incapacitated or otherwise unable to handle those matters. If you don't have one, then your family would typically be required to go to court, open a conservatorship, which would mean having a conservator appointed, which may or may not be someone of your choosing, and that also involves time, expense, attorneys, in court that you otherwise wouldn't need.
Well, and we want to say it's super important to have a power of attorney, especially when it comes to healthcare directives.
Well, there are actually two different documents. We do what's called a general durable power of attorney to take care of business affairs. Right. And then an advanced healthcare directive and power of attorney for healthcare is where you designate an agent to make healthcare decisions for you only when you can't express your own wishes. Explain
a little bit more about the conservatorship, if you wouldn't mind, when it comes to the power of attorney.
A conservatorship is when the court appoints someone, your conservator, to handle your affairs.
Right.
Your business management, real estate, taxes, bank accounts, that sort of thing. And the conservator is appointed, and they're required to file and prepare an annual accounting to the court, file an inventory, and then appear before the court, and it just takes up time and expense that otherwise you wouldn't necessarily need.
I get it. All right. Someone like me, I'm forever moving. All right? Moving from station to station, state to state. If I come to you and start my will and estate planning and I move to a different state, what happens? Am I still under the laws of Mississippi or the state that I'm now in?
Well, typically, I advise my clients, if they're moving, to find someone in the new jurisdiction who does what we do.
Right.
Just to look at the will. Most laws in America are what we call common law. And so a will drawn in Mississippi probably would be okay in most other jurisdictions. Still a good idea to have it looked at. But if you were moving, for example, to Louisiana, that's basically a start over because their laws are totally different than ours. So just in general, somebody moving out of state should go find somebody to review and make changes if that person thinks it's necessary in that jurisdiction.
That I have to say to you, and I have to be honest, I haven't changed my will from Australia. I think I need to do that.
I think you do.
As you were explaining that, I'm thinking, I think I need to get onto that myself, you know, because it probably doesn't work for me living in America, being my assets are in Australia, right?
Well, it'd be a good idea for us to take a look at it, and we'll advise you.
Thank you so much for coming in. We really appreciate that. Always
Thank
great
you.
information. If you want to find out more information, there it all is up on the screen. We'll be back after a short break.